Alright fam, well it's time to engage. Moods are front and center, enter the stage. Mind, body and spirit to try synergy. Ask not like any.
With 3 or 4 women.
Right.
This is what makes me a man. I've come to realize getting older that actually holding down a relationship with one woman is tough enough. And you know.
Have you ever cried before?
Yeah, I've had moments. I call it the crocodile tear. So I just allow one tear to come out of the eye. But yeah, many of times.
It takes a lot for us to open up, and even when we do open up, sometimes the situation is that it's not understood.
What I was doing is like I didn't really want to commit to a serious relationship.
The rings of Saturn, full circle, Mutai's in purple, royalty regal. She's killing you with kindness, it's almost illegal. So my people, life is up and down like a seesaw. Calito, fly away high like an eagle. Watch the leaves grow. Once my flow is flawless, then it's finito.
You sure?
Yeah.
Mic check 1 2 1 2 locked in. Mic check the sounds of Dre. Right now you're locked into the shifting mindset.
Hey, we have the man in the house. How are you guys?
How you doing?
How are you doing? Do you want to introduce yourselves? We'll start from. Come on. Yeah.
Same people. Andre. I'm here representing the dads. I'm come to talk to shifting the mindset. And hi everyone, whoever is locked in, big up yourself. Is it on to the next?
Yes.
I'm Emmanuel. Again, representing the fathers, the men. Representing shifting your mindset. What's up, Mutsa?
What's up? Fire! It is super exciting to have you guys on today. Like, honestly, this is your first time to be on the show, Shifting Your Mindset show. We have unfiltered discussions, which are within reasonable grounds. If there is something I ask that's uncomfortable, you are very much welcome to plead the Fifth Amendment, but not all the time. To get into the show, Emmanuel.
Hello.
Have you ever cried before? And why?
Yeah. Why? Oh man. I mean, passing of relatives, my mother, my brother, friends, and other situations in which I've been hurt, Yeah, I do cry.
Right. We'll come back to those other situations apart from the norm. Dre, have you ever cried before?
Yeah, I've had moments. I call it the crocodile tear. So I just allow one tear to come out of the eye. But yeah, many of times when I broke both my legs, never cried, never had a tear, never had a bad thought, never moaned. But there's been other occasions where I've wept, I've cried. Cried when 9/11 happened. I can remember it vividly in the morning. Obviously, just watch it on the news, and tears just came to my eyes.
Right. Okay. You said crocodile tear. Emmanuel, I'm coming to you, but just so that I don't forget, you said you only let one tear come. One tear. Why? Why is that?
I think it's like a mechanism to where I just don't want to show my tears. So it normally comes if I'm trying to talk something from my heart, if I'm trying to talk if I'm really talking something passionate to someone, and it just opens up something, and I normally just have one tear.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. And in the Jamaican terms, they normally call it crocodile tear.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know if Emmanuel's ever heard of it before. You heard of that?
I've heard crocodile tear, but it means something different to what I know. Like is when you're faking crying.
Yeah.
That's what I know.
But that's why I'm calling it the one crocodile tear, because people don't believe that it's a real tear. If that makes sense. But I'm saying it's a real tear because I'm opening up. You know what I mean? I'm getting emotional. You know what I mean?
Right. Okay, we'll come back to the reason why people think that. Emmanuel, apart from the norms, death of a loved one, something within the families, I want the other box, the other times you have cried. What are those?
Man, times of frustration, like other times if I've cried, I mean, people don't see that, but it would be a time when, I'm going through a lot. There's a lot of different things going on in my life, a lot of frustrations. I feel like the support network that I thought I had isn't there.
Surrounding family and stuff like that?
Surrounding family, friends, there's a lack of understanding of what I'm going through, even when, because those guys, obviously, it takes a lot for us to open up. And even when we do open up sometimes, the situation is that, it's not understood. It's assumed that you're all good. And so, yeah, I think I've had moments when there's so much on, I'm trying to juggle so much things, I don't feel I'm supported, and I've found myself just having a moment. It's literally like what Jay said, a few tears and that's it, but still a moment of it being expressed through that way. But that's something people rarely see.
Wow. Ain't it? Because I think the perception is men don't cry. Men don't actually have moments of frustration where they feel overwhelmed. Or if they do, I think a lot of men that I've spoken to in the past, they tend to say, even if I'm going through what I'm going through, I'll go through it alone. Because I don't want the world to see me cry. Dre, why do you think that is?
Obviously, it's just most probably to do with image from like back in the day. It's not really image now. I think it's embedded in a lot of men. I think it's just the image of all about being strong, a man, a warrior, being out in the world, have to support the family, to go and do this, to do that. Crying is not really a part of that. You know what I mean? Like, if you hurt yourself, you push yourself up and get back up and try again. There's sayings, there's phrases, there's, you know what I mean, mottos. You know what I mean? It don't say, oh, if you fall over, have a couple cries and a hug and get back up. I've never heard that saying before.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? So it's not really embedded in us. And it is kind of now they start to bring it into like schools, and I hear certain mums saying, oh, you're not meant to tell your kid not to cry. They're meant to express themselves. But I think it's embedded from us, from what people say from us from young and in the past. Do you agree with that, Manuel?
Going back to the background, society says men don't cry. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Emmanuel, is that it?
Society, well, not anymore. Society's changing. The rules are changing. And, to some people, there is no such thing as man and woman anymore.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm not going to go there right now.
Yeah.
But the society we were raised in, men don't cry, I came up in...
Not a Jamaican background.
Huh?
Not in a Jamaican background as well. I think
it's not even Jamaican. It's just society, man. It's like you talk to a middle class or even working class white guy. They'll have the same thinking. Men don't cry. You don't show your weaknesses. Trade. And then when we talk about that, especially for the black guys, hip hop culture, dancehall culture, you know, you have to be ultra masculine. That's the image, you know. And so these ultra masculine guys, we don't cry, you know, we're ready for anything. Anything can happen. We can handle any situation.
Right. So what impact do you think that has had? Because I think I'll ask the other question. What impact has that had on you guys personally? Dre, what impact has it had on you personally? And then Emmanuel, you can explain what impact that has had on you personally, that masculinity of, it's okay, you know, men will deal with it.
I think I can answer it pretty all right, to be honest, because I do like to look into myself and my daily day, how I think and how I feel. So I'll say how it impacts me is sometimes people say that I come across cold or like I don't show no emotion and no affection. So, you know what I mean? It can kind of like disconnect you from certain people's feelings and how they feel against you. You know what I mean? So yeah, and obviously some man obviously bottle it all up, and then when the emotion comes, they don't know what the feeling is, and they don't like the feeling, so they react. Instead of crying, they'll drink or they'll fight or do something spontaneous because they're not letting out this energy. You know what I mean?
Right.
So with me, I do monitor my own feelings at times. If I do feel like it's all bottled up and what and whatnot, if I come to a certain point, I do try and sit down and let some of the stress out, have a couple of tears to myself. Don't really talk to anyone about it. Don't really like have like a support group like to where I go and cry. I've got shifted the mindset now. That's a group that I talk to, but it's not really got to the part where I need to go there and let out a lot of stress. Maybe a couple months back when I was going through the maddest drama, maybe I might have been going there to say, yeah, I just need to let this out. But yeah, like Emmanuel said, it's very rare, not rare, but when it does happen, I'm normally in like a dark little room. It's like a couple of tears, just just release that energy, and then just go again.
That's powerful. And I like the fact that you said energy, that it is a part of who we are, regardless of what gender you are. That emotion of crying is a part of who we are. And you're so right, because sometimes when we conform to how we were raised or what society thinks, especially for the boy child or for the men, men have to be strong and brave because they're the head of the house, they don't cry, their children don't need to see them crying, etc. Their spouses, their wives, their partners, girlfriends don't need to see them crying. And that brings, again, a lot of pressure, because when you're not releasing that energy, like you're saying, you then act in a different way. Emmanuel, what are your thoughts on that question?
Repeat the question again. I was lost in yeah.
I know, right? It's what is the impact it's had on you?
Okay, like the ultra masculine identity that kind of projected through movies and music videos and all the like. The effect it had on me. I mean, number one, I had a false idea of what masculinity was and what a man is. I thought it was all of those things: money, hoes, and clothes, all the nigga knows, like Biggie said. And that had an effect on my relationships and how I treat women. It had an effect on, even my relationship with my male friends and what I was willing to show and not show, and what I was willing to do when put on the spot, and those kind of things. Yeah, I think it had a quite a destructive effect on my life. And I'm one of them who I didn't have much example anyway. Man is, you know, so I took hold of any kind of examples I could have. Now, so yeah, that would, as I've been going through life, I've kind of understood, just like Dre said, there's certain times when you don't know how to let out certain emotions and you bottle it. And then this is the reason why sometimes a situation, a small thing can spark, you know, a fight with young men, because they're bottling all this emotion and now they've got this opportunity to release that energy, and it might be chaotic. And now there's more guns on the street, there's more knives on the street, it's even more chaotic. Mm-hmm. So that's a part of it. And what they don't realize is even the anger that they're displaying is an emotion. I came to understand that because I thought I wasn't an emotional person, but I was angry. So then I come to realize, hold on a minute, I'm emotional because I get angry. You know, I got a short temper, and I've got a reputation for having a short temper. But what people don't understand is that short temper is bottled emotions that I haven't been able to express. So the longer term effect it's had on my life is being able to empathize. When I see these youths like on road and they're vexed and ready for anything, it's like, I understand what's really going on. You're putting on a grill, but what's behind that grill is some unexpressed emotions. You know what I mean? And another thing that it helped me to understand is that, yeah, just like this is called Men Do Talk, you're able to, when you can find someone that you can express yourself without judgment, it can be helpful.
Right. There's something that you mentioned there that I just want to ask whilst you're still there is you, because I feel like relationships play a big part in anybody's lives. You said it had an impact in your relationships. Give an example, just in case somebody is going through that. You know, they may be able to identify. I know everybody's different, but I always say, you know, experts by experience are always the best experts. What type of impact, how would you react when it came to relationships? What did you used to do?
Well, again, it's like following the narrative and the image that I used to have what a man was.
Right.
The more of a man you are, the more women you got. And if you're raised in a situation where you don't really have much else to express your masculinity, you know, you don't have opportunity to set up a business or whatever, you know, you just don't have those frameworks, then you'll grab the simple things. Projection of you know, a kind of a violent image, or having many women or both, you know. So then how I viewed women, what happened when I was in a relationship was affected, you know. I would be, I think I'm good with 3 or 4 women.
Right.
You know? This is what makes me a man. And, I've come to realize getting older that actually holding down a relationship with one woman is tough enough. And you know, it takes everything in you as a man to even, you know, because those relationships that I thought were relationships were.
Right. You know? What about in terms of family, kids and stuff? Did you also react in a different way with them? Your parenting style, was it different?
I would say, yeah, absolutely, because again, my son, you know, wouldn't have the space to express, couldn't be over emotional. Like, I'd have to shut that out, man. I don't want my son being soft. You know, my daughter's all right, she can cry and everything, but my son, nah. And one time I looked at that, I thought, am I part of the problem? Am I adding to a issue here? I do believe I'm raising my son to be, you know, masculine, and my daughter's to be feminine.
Right. Okay.
What is masculine and what is feminine is something that I'm maturing into realizing it's not what I used to think it is.
All right. What about Dre? What about you?
Yeah, I think, yeah, I was listening to Emmanuel. I think mine's a bit different with my relationships and stuff. I just feel like what I was doing is like I didn't really want to commit to a serious relationship because I didn't want the emotion. I didn't want the breakups. I didn't want to build. I didn't want to, you know what I mean? Like build all these foundations and then make it fall apart and then I have to rebuild it again with another person, which not and whatnot. So I was just going through my life, just building myself and just having like friendships, should I say, per se.
Right.
So I do think that's probably part of my, if we're saying negative, of my bottled up emotion and not wanting to release it and not show my feelings to a certain someone and just holding it all back. You know what I mean?
Okay. What was the reason why you would hold back those feelings towards that certain someone and think, I just want to stay as friends, no commitment? Is it fear of you being hurt, fear of crying? Is that it?
No, that's not it. I was literally just monitoring my own feelings.
Right. I'm
in charge of my feelings. I've said it to people. I've said, like, if I want to be scared, I'll watch a scary movie. If I want to be happy, I'll watch a funny film. If I want to cry, I'll watch Bambi. Like, I control how I feel. So, like, by me going into relationships or finding a relationship or wishing out or whatnot, you know what I mean? Could be, potentially be heartbreak on either side or whatever. You know what I mean? So I just always just control that emotion. And like I said, sometimes when you try and bottle it, control it, or whatever how you want to perceive it, you can come across being cold, not showing affection. Sometimes some people say that's masculine. Or if the guy's like, what's that guy's name? Is it Andrew Tate?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If he says he don't like, if a girl don't want to do what he says, he'll leave her. You know what I mean? But that's a bit too masculine. You know what I mean?
So, do you think the term masculine is right, or should it be there feminine, masculine? Is it okay to have those terms?
Yeah, of course it is. What's wrong with masculine and feminine?
Right.
You know, yeah, right. We're moving in a place in society at the moment that it will correct itself in time because you can't, you know.
Yeah.
That's real. But yeah,
it's
nothing wrong with.
The only reason why I'm asking is because we were saying the way you guys you would hold back your feelings in the past, the way you guys, wouldn't cry, was because of that masculinity. So are you saying we need to drive or shift the narrative to positive masculinity, positive femininity? Is it that? Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. So there's nothing wrong with masculinity. There's nothing wrong with femininity. It's just what's been interpreted as masculinity. So what we were talking about was a false narrative.
Right.
Of what masculinity is.
Okay.
What masculinity really is it's not all of those things, like being kind of what they would call toxic masculinity, being ultra aggressive, showing no emotions, all this and that and the third. There's a place for these things when there's a time for these things. But being masculine and being a man is also working in conjunction with femininity. And I believe, being feminine is working in conjunction with masculinity. It's like a yin and yang.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot more to masculinity than what we previously thought there was. Negotiation, conflict, resolution, being able to humble yourself sometimes, know when to speak, having a certain amount of wisdom about you, you know.
Yeah. And okay, this is the issue. The crying, emotions, feelings, men have feelings, you know, in a nutshell, men have feelings. And what do we do now to shift the narrative, to help other men, women, or, you know, people that are in that place who can't express their emotions, who can't identify when they feel certain things, you know, when they insecure, A, B, C, D, you know, what does that mean? How can we help? What's the support out there? We're talking about emotions and feelings, especially for the men's perspective. We've heard of a lot, we know of a lot of challenges right now. I had a conversation with one of the men during our outreach work with Shifting Your Mindset, and he said to me, men are usually the forgotten ones because we're meant to be strong. And this is what is actually Emmanuel and Dre have been trying to define, you know, where it came back from. Dre, I know you have some comments still around masculinity that you wanted to share with us.
Yeah. I was just saying, obviously, growing up, I didn't have no one to like as a dad figure, like show me like masculinity, what to do, what not. I was just raised by my mum, family members, cousins, the streets, the ends. So I had to basically learn what I felt of my own masculinity and what it was. And I think it came to me when I see my older brother. He's a very masculine but when he had his daughters, he's got 3 girls now, and he's got like full custody over them and all that. But different story. But it's when I seen him at one of their birthday parties, and he dressed up in a dress.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But like me, like for a time, I'm there like thinking like, yo, what's he doing? Like, but then I had to realize that, yo, it takes a real man to get in a dress to be a princess with his daughter, because, you know what I mean? Because it's role play, they're having a giggle at him. You know what I mean? The whole party was laughing at him, adults, people walking by, but he didn't mind because his daughter was loving it. And so, yeah, in some people's eyes, some people that are masculine, the probably will never wear a dress. You know what I mean? But when it comes to your family members and your daughters and them things like that, you've got to tone it down. You've got to line it up. There'll probably be a lot more emotional, cry, listen. So, yeah, that's when I realized that the masculinity, you've got to compromise and tone it down a bit. You can't be so. That's when I realized that.
That's amazing. We have a comment here that says, I'll just read it out. Masculine and feminine energy is natural, though how it's shown in this day and age is not healthy. Emotions shouldn't be shut down, but as God says, everything has its time. So when saying when the world gets too loud, you shut it off, feel that energy and release it. Letting it bottle up is what causes the major issues and the breakdown, even in mental health, and affects not only you, but those around you who may not be emotionally strong. Emotions aren't weak. The lack of control in them is where there is weakness. Wow. Thoughts on what we got there, the message we got.
Yeah, spot on, really. Yeah, holding it in, not feeling it, not being able to express it, is an issue, you know. And I would say, finally, there's a lot of guys out there that have kind of gotten that. They realize that now. I'm part of a few groups in which, you know, guys will meet up on Zoom and speak through stuff, information. I've watched grown men cry in front of like 40 guys. You know, express the situation and then get advice and you know, support from guys. That's something that, you know, it's only recent that started to become a thing. And there's a lot of healing in there. So the days of guys bottling it all up and, you know, walking around with it and carrying it and creating havoc, I think those days are numbered. Of course, it's still going to happen, you know, but generally speaking, guys are getting wiser to what effect it's having on their lives, the lives of their children, and beyond, when they can't regulate their own emotions and deal with their own situations, and be able to also support their sons and daughters, you know.
Yeah.
When coming up and watching your son come up, you want to be in a place where you can navigate. So this, for a lot of guys, is the incentive.
Yeah.
For them to get their life straight so that they can be an example, you know. And so, yeah, that's happening. It's a good thing, and this is part of it as well.
Yeah, this is part of it. This is part of it. So moving forward, the shift now, the shifting your mindset. How do we, as people, as communities, as families, as men, as women, as him, he, her, she, how do we come to a place where we can support you as men, where we can help you through, tackle those barriers? Because when I see the suicide stats, they've been like that for over the past years. You know, we have a problem. And yes, even as women, we have problems. But if the data is showing something somewhere, we need to focus on that. So there's something that must be going on with the men, the boys, you know, the young men and all of that around emotions, around mental health. What can be done? What can we do? Well, how can we put our heads together to shift the narrative?
I'll say this, yes, women have the issues, and there are a lot of women who are suffering with loneliness and just feelings of isolation and things like that. Generally speaking, in society, there is a lot more support for women than men when it comes to these things. For guys, if you know, I think most people can relate. Most people have that person in their family or their circle, that guy who's, you know, just does his own thing, goes to work, comes home, you know, plods about, might turn up to family events and that, but you don't know much about him. I think reaching out and, you know, making attempts to just be closer, phone calls, and not, you see, the thing about us guys, if you phone up and say, oh, I'm worried about you, is everything okay? How's your mental health? This, that, and the third. It's like, we don't want to talk about that. If you just, what are you doing? What are you doing today? I mean, what you up to? What's general? Let's have a conversation about anything, you know. Do you know if your brother or your father or your son has a favorite football team? You know, what do you know about these people that are around you? You know, because what it is, and what I'm getting at is, sometimes as a guy, the people around you don't even know you.
And that's true.
Yeah.
Even sometimes not even, the people around you don't even know who you are. Exactly. Yeah, that's true.
They have this caricature of who they think you are.
Yeah, that's true.
I have people that still treat me like I'm the guy I was 20 years ago.
Wow.
I was a pretty angry guy 20 years ago. I had all sorts of stuff on my mind, and, you know, and I was, because I had a lot going on in my life. I lost my brother. I didn't have a dad. The only example of a man I had was my brother. And when he passed away, that was a big thing to me. And there was no counseling, there was no consistent help. I had to deal with it on my own. And when you deal with these emotions on your own, you don't know how to regulate it, how to do it, how to be a different person. And at the same time, I'm a young black guy. I'm getting stopped by police. I'm having all sorts of stuff happen. And it's just fueling this fire that's going on. And no one understands that. And they just think I'm an angry guy. And as time goes on, I still have people thinking I'm this same guy. So,
I felt that fire before, brother.
Huh?
I felt that fire before, man.
Yeah.
You know, I felt it, man. My body starts getting hot. I start sweating. You know what I mean? It's like it's a real thing. There's real heat. I can feel it, like in my stomach.
Really?
Like a furnace is just turned on. Sometimes I have to look at myself like, yo, what? Why am I sweating like this?
Wow.
You know.
So I know exactly what Emmanuel was saying.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, when a guy gets to a crunch, I mean, you know, they feel like, and they don't feel like anyone can understand them. They're not going to call you. If you don't understand me and I try and express myself,
yeah,
you're going to get, you know, you're going to have all sorts of ideas. It might not be worth the hassle. So I won't bother calling. But sometimes if you feel that someone can relate and gets to know you and they know you on a certain level, then when it's time for you to express yourself, you're more willing to do that.
Right. Okay. Dre, over to you.
Yeah. Well, my thing is, what I would say is, obviously I just build up my own mindset and I just try and teach as I go along. I just try to show people around me how I see how to tackle with certain emotions, how to go around things, how to build. I try and build my own circle of like-minded people per se.
Right.
So it's a bit different from what Emmanuel was saying. He would want people to figure out how he feels or ask him.
I'm just going to interject there because the question was, how can people support them?
Yeah.
So
how can people support you? That's what I'm trying to say. But I'll give them the tools, because a lot of the people out there don't know how to talk to men. They don't know how to ask about the day or ask about their favorite things, because everyone's out there trying to figure out their own life and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So like my people in my circle, I try and like just, you know, talk to them, tell them to like, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what about the guy that is like the guy that's right now thinking, nah, there's no point, man. No one in the world cares. There's no point in me saying, expressing myself. There's no point, you know, in trying to do this, you know, because the world is cold. What about that guy, that man, you know, that man, that young man, that guy, that teenager saying, nah, I've seen enough. My father wasn't there, you know, I don't have a role model. I don't have friends. You can't trust nobody.
Again,
It's the world, you know. What are you guys talking about? Talk to who for what? What are they gonna do if I speak to them? What change is that gonna make in my life? What about that guy? What do we say to them?
Like I said, you just obviously just try and teach them, try and find like hobbies.
No, what if they're at home? They don't even come out to go and teach. They're sitting somewhere, right?
Yeah, right now. No one's ringing them. What do you say to them?
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to. What's the word? Are they introverts? You know what I mean? Some people are they just like that? Some people.
I guess it's the message of, if there is someone out there, if there's a young man that is out there, you know, listening and thinking there is no point to all of this. Actually, there is. You know what I mean? There's a point to life.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
I've been that guy. I've 100% been that guy.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no point in talking to anyone. They're not going to understand.
Yeah.
They don't get it.
But then did you say you educate yourself, Emmanuel? Is that what you said? You started doing things, learning things, and then before you started realizing that masculinity and all these things are not what you actually perceived, you started seeing things a lot differently, a lot easier. Is that all right for me to say that, Emmanuel?
I mean, yes, but you know, you see, I was fortunate enough, I don't know, maybe smart enough to not do anything really crazy in the meantime, you know. But the person that Mutsa is describing, and the person I could have been, because you see, for me, the reason why I didn't do something completely crazy, because I could have,
yeah,
which includes suicide, but it also includes throwing myself into crime to get that money, or, you know, doing whatever, because I got no reason to live.
yeah.
The only reason I didn't do that is because my same brother that I mentioned, he passed, he left a daughter.
Right.
And so I couldn't go and leave her. And not long after that, I, you know, had a son. And so I had to then divert my reasoning to that.
Right.
Alone, there was no reason to live. Right? So what I would say to that young man there is,
well, that elderly man.
The other thing is, well, the other thing was, my mother, she lost a son, and she only had two. So I knew that if I went, she would go too. It would like losing my brother devastated my mother. So losing me would have finished her.
Right.
So these were the reasons, the things that kept me alive. So what I would say to those guys, look at the reason why you live. Who's the example? Have you got a nephew? Have you got a child? You know, I look at your mother. What would it do to your mother if something happened to you? You know, so that's a lifeline to stay alive. And then it's like, okay, then now, what are you here for? You know,
this sounds very educational to them. That sounds like
okay. Actually, I think that's a big one. What are you here for? A lot of times people that don't care is because there's no voice of reason, right? There's no voice of reason, or they are trying to find that voice of reason, which is a difficult place. Even men or women, it's a difficult place for somebody to get to understand the voice of reason, to understand the reason of being. Dre, do you understand your reason of being? Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah? How did you get to that point?
A lot of sitting down, listening to myself, you know, going through a lot of situations, going through it, coming out of it. Yeah, even like like I said, when I broke my legs, I literally had to start again from fresh, learning how to walk, balance, all them kind of stuff. So, if someone else with a different kind of mindset, the one probably would have been down, they would have been depressed, the probably wouldn't want to go out and stuff like that. But I changed the energy. Like I said before, I like to monitor my own energy and stuff like that. So I changed my energy and put it into thinking, okay, then what did I used to do on a Friday? You know what I mean? Like cinemas, I went to cinemas. I had to keep my legs straight. I had to watch the whole film with my legs straight. I couldn't bend my legs. But yeah.
Yeah. So I guess as well for me, I don't know. What I would also say is, you know, sometimes when you're in that place where there's no voice of reason, that place of not understanding the reason of being, why don't you try doing the opposite to what you're doing to see if you get different results? Because if you still do the things that you're doing then and act the way and think the way you're thinking, you're never going to get the answer. Because you've tried that, the answer didn't come. So I always say, try the opposite. Times in your emotions, in your feelings, we understand your feelings, but you don't talk. How do we get to that place where you guys, we now know you have emotions, but you need to speak? What is it that stops you from speaking?
Yeah, that's to say, I do think I'm different now in my today, how I am right now.
Yeah.
I think I'm different because, like I said, the people that are around me, I try and educate them about my feelings. So if I am coming in down, If I am coming in stressed, or if I do have that little moment where I need to be in a dark room, I express. If we have a moment of breakdown of communication where I'm angry and she don't know I'm angry and rare, after a while, when I come back to normality, I will think about the situation and explain and try and educate. So if it does happen again, you know what I mean? I try and have like an adult's conversation and say of like steps of what can be done. If you see me coming in like this, you don't mind just taking the kids out for the park for a bit so I can have a moment to myself, or you know what I mean? You know what I mean? It could be I will try and inform them and show the best way to make it as smooth as possible.
That's it.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm trying to say. If we're talking about myself now, because obviously I've gone through all these journeys and gone through all these mixed emotions and bottled all this stuff up.
Yeah.
I've come to the point now to where I think honesty is the best policy. Right? But some people, again, some females don't like it because sometimes if you're being so honest, it comes across like negative or wrong. You know what I mean? If you tell
I've learned that hard way. Because I'm a person, I prefer like, I like honesty. To that specific point, communicating with each other, you know, like you said, when I do this, it means that, or, you know, when I come home from work, when I come from football, I just need a bit of time, you know. And if you do come in and you're feeling a certain way and it's all coming to you, it's for you as well, just like Dre said, to just show them, look, now is not a good time.
Yeah.
You know, I want to speak, let's speak, you know.
Yeah.
Time. Let me have a shower, whatever it might be. To the general point that you asked, you know, about how do we communicate and understand generally. Again, I mean, as a man, you take responsibility for educating those around you. For those who have let's say, a particular concern about a particular guy, their son, their it's approaching them with the understanding that they're an individual.
Right.
Because the other thing is this generic man, all men are.
Yeah. All women are. Oh, yeah. Lord, women.
That narrative, it goes around and there's some truth to it generally, but it doesn't mean all women are.
Yes.
And I think the difference might be controversial here, but the difference between men and women is it's a rare occasion when men assume all women to be the same. This is why you have different names for women, right? There's different names and categories that men use for women. But generally speaking,
can I get a couple of them categories, Emmanuel? Do you know any?
I ain't even going there. I ain't even trying to say like that.
I don't know. Just give me one or two. I just don't know any categories.
Can I just say something, guys? Can I just say something? And I'm going to say this, guys. You see these guys that are here saying communication is key. The number of times I've communicated some stuff with them in a group chat, and then they call you and say, oh, did that just happen? And then you're thinking to yourself, do they see that message? So it goes both ways.
It does go both ways because it's how you communicate. So you assumed that if I put it in the group chat, then they will read it and understand it and respond to it. Now, I
don't know what I'm reading.
If it's important, it's better you call because there's not just one group chat in my phone.
Okay.
I don't know about, you know. So,
all right, ways of communication. So that's why.
In going through the day, and especially when I'm working,
there's
a few groups that I'm having to respond to. Some of them
so point of that is ways of communication. You have to know how to communicate, starting with
Is it me?
Dre, whoever.
Start with me.
Okay, cool.
My key message is going to be time, patience, and understanding that no one's perfect. Everyone's trying to build and progress. Everyone's got feelings bottled up. And some people know how to release them, some people don't. So yeah, you just gotta try and be patient with people, and try and support and educate each and other person, each and every one, to get the best outcome in life.
Right.
That's my final.
That's really good.
I don't know if Emmanuel. Is he?
Just right here, I would say, you see, I'm a guy. I still fly the flag for traditional family and values. So from a male perspective, what I would say, particularly to women who are trying to understand their guy, and to guys, there's a reason, all your emotions and your feelings, they have a place, all of them. There's a reason for it. It's understanding how to navigate them, control them, how to, get the best out of people. So, for a woman to understand a man, know that if the guy is a man who can be a bit emotional, all right, there's a place for that. If he can be angry sometimes, there's a place for that. If you want someone to defend you, you want that person to be, upfront and aggressive, but then he needs to know that there's a place for that, And, if you want someone who's able to communicate their feelings, again, there's a place for that, but then you can't do that all the time. So it's understanding that, just like Dre said, we all have our feelings, we're all individual, but for that individual to understand themselves, first of all, and be able to communicate that to the other, and for another person to be able to receive that, understand it, and work with that. So I guess it boils down to communication. Relationships are communication.
That's it. So the biggest message today I kept on hearing about everything is communicating both sides. You guys, you need to communicate your feelings. We need to communicate our feelings. At some point, we need to meet in the middle to come out with that positive solution to make that change. And what about to the men right now that is somewhere in depression, lost in the emotions, lost in crying all alone right now? What message would you give them to uplift them, to help them wherever they are?
Just know what you're going through. We've been through it. You know what I mean? Come down to shifting your mindset. Come down to one of the talks. Get involved with us. Come to the gardens. Come to the seminars, the workshops. Get out there, meeting people. Just start building up your self-esteem. You know what I mean? Start learning. Be around some wise people like Emmanuel. I mean,
yeah.
I'm trying to get there still. I'm trying to get to be the wise one. But yeah,
what you just said, that's wisdom right there. Get out there and communicate and connect with other people, and that's key.
That's key.
That's key.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Not alone.
Right. They'll be shocked if someone was not down and everything. Yeah, I would say to them, go and shift in the mindset down here, and just either sit down, listen, talk, do whatever. But I feel like it will be a big relief of stress and tension straight away. Because it's just how it's built up down there. You have the chance to get your point across. Like I said, there's people there with knowledge, people there with wisdom, people that's been in the exact same predicament you have. Yeah, exact same predicament, and they're willing to listen. I've been hearing that everywhere I go, is the things that people say about me, the motives that I'm willing to give time to someone that I've never met. And people get shocked because sometimes your own family members don't give you time to express your feelings or whatever. But you know what I mean? In the right time, in the right place, and whatever, I give time. If I see someone down and whatever, I will try and talk to them, soothe them, pass them on the information, and give my time to try and make them be in the right space. So
virtually, go on our website. There is a Just Talk session there. It's for 30 minutes every day, and we can help come up with ideas of how we can get you the right support that you need. So on the website, just click on it. Just Talk. It's every day after 6 p.m. every single day. Just find a slot, book it in, and we'll speak to you virtually, and we'll see what support we can give you. Emmanuel, what are your words? That made me cry.
Again, I got caught up, man. What's the question? Sorry, I was just in that.
The grand finale message of that person that is feeling alone right now.
Okay, so it's very tough when you're in that place. You know, the general message is reach out to someone, call somebody, anybody. And it's hard to do when you're actually in that place. That's the problem. What I would say to that person again is, you know, what is the place you're wanting to be at now? Where do you want to be? You're feeling low, you're feeling down. Where do you want to be? What is it you want? You want communication? Do you want to, you want someone there? Do you want to be having fun? And look at the avenue or the person who you can just call and just say, look, this is where I'm at. This is how I feel. You have to identify one person that you can call. I'm fortunate I have a good friend that literally told me you can call me at any time. And I called that person, that guy, at 2 in the morning one time, because I was just in the bad place. And it took about half an hour speaking before I was okay. And, and I owe a real debt to that guy. And I will do anything for that guy. He's like my brother. Being able to identify that one person who you could, at your worst moment, call and know you're not going to be judged. If it's not a person you know, then there's helplines out there. There's Samaritans, there's NHS hotlines, there's different places. So it is very important to just be able to communicate how you feel with another human being, because then you will get something, you will get some feedback, even just hearing yourself talk about it. The thing I would say is there's nothing wrong with getting counseling and things like that. People tend to think that means that you're mad, you're admitting to having some mental health problem if you go counseling. No, counseling is just talking. It's called talk therapy. There's nothing wrong with that at all. In fact, the most sane people are the ones that do it because they recognize that they need to do it. The insane ones continue doing the same thing they've done before, which is going inwards on their thoughts and getting away with it. So there's free services now all over the place. We have this thing called the internet. There's so much stuff on there. Just look for the solution. Do not dwell in the problem. Search for the solution. Yeah? Identifying the problem is part of the solution, but once you've identified the problem, then it's all about solution, all solution, all solution. And you'll come out of it. You'll get to a better place.
Nice one.
Hear wisdom.
Go on, Dre.
I said, you see the wisdom there? Told you, he's a wise man. Told you.
This one is a Songs of Solomon. This one is the one that, but this is where we are, guys. This is where we are. I really appreciate what you guys are doing. I appreciate the drive. I appreciate the inspiration. I appreciate stepping up, because not a lot of men still don't have the courage to come and say, hey, I do cry. You know what I mean? I do have that crocodile tear. I still have, I do cry. I do get upset. I do, and not a lot of men admit that, hey, I've been there, I've been down, I've been depressed, I've been this, that, and the other. That's growth. That's the process of growth. And we need more of that to be able to shift the narrative. We need, you guys, what you're doing is speaking up more and helping that person that is alone, that ends up taking their life because they feel like the world doesn't hear them. They feel like there's nobody. But when they hear you speak to say, hang on a minute, there's somebody else that has gone through that, and they're talking about it. That's inspiration. That's the healing. Empower, inspire, and heal. What we say, it's shifting. That is the healing. And talk therapy. This is some sort of, it's not formal therapy, but this is therapy in a way, because we're talking about all these problems that are happening, and we're identifying ways. You guys have been amazing. A good solid family unit, whether together or separated. Family unit, regardless, separated families that are still together, whatever it is, you can still be separated but have positive relationships. But it comes with a point of healing. That's where we are. I love you guys. I love you so much. I have so much respect for you. You guys are such an inspiration. Thank you so much for the support. Thank you so much for what you're doing in the community. Thank you so much for being an inspiration. Thank you so much for being kings and stepping up to the call and putting it into action. I see that background, Dre. Are you going to describe who's who there? Are you going to do your analysis?
You have the boss up here, as you can see. We've got the guy looking like he's just photobomb, like he's just come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
We've got the white man up here, the boss man. Raptor. We're working very hard at the garden.
Yeah.
And then here you can see posing for the camera. Still looking pretty like she hasn't done not one bit of work. What's up?
Well, there you go. Okay. Yeah, and that's another thing. We also have a dad's garden up in Dover, where is another place you can just come sit and be quiet in nature.
Yeah, it's nice.
It's a nice place. It's not just for men, it's for the community that the dads are creating for the community. The kings are creating this garden for the community, which is a place where you can just come if you want to cry in there, if you want to just sit and be quiet in there. That is the space that we have. Emmanuel, do you want to give the details of where the garden is, and we'll just close off the show?
Okay, thank you. Yes. So that garden is on a road called Furcroft Avenue. Now it's something that's easily missed. It's set back behind the houses. So it's between the numbers of 24 and 26 Furcroft Avenue. If you want more details about that, you can call 07984342874, 07984342874. And yeah, for times when it'll be open, and what it's about. But yeah, it's a nice space. It is for the community. And on a Tuesday evening, we have a specific spot for fathers to come in and do their thing and chat. As the weather's changing now, that will, I don't know, it might come to a close through the winter. We'll see how people feel. It's like community led. But definitely coming into spring, then we'll be springing into action and making some great things happen. So yeah, it's worth it.
Thank you. And then Dre, do you want to just tell us where the dad sessions are as well? Not if we're not in the garden.
Yeah, we're not in the garden, we're down at the Vine Community Centre. I think I class it as like Hyson Green or Bobber's Mill. Maybe it might be Bobber's Mill. That's on also a Tuesday, 5:30 to 7:30. Sometimes we roll over a little bit, depending on the topic or the time. So feel free to come at any time in between then. And numbers. Got some information on the flyer down here. So when I come off the screen,
people are listening on radio.
Yeah.
They can't see on radio. Mutsa, can you read off the phone numbers?
Yeah, it's 073-9649-1199. And we also have the men's sessions, because the Tuesday ones is the fathers or dad sessions. And then the Wednesday is the old men sessions, young men, old men up in Bestwood. Let's see the barbers in Bestwood as well. Barbershop. Imagine the best place to be for men. That's where we have our section. Yeah, see the barber. Shout out, see the barber, man. Doing, guys. Sending you so much love and light as usual. I'll let you go, and then I'll finish off and wrap up the show. Shifting your mindset.
All right.
Shifting
you let people.
You've just shifted the mindset today. Trust me. Today,
shifting your mindset.
You see.
mindset.
Okay, fine. Bye.